being a panel of 3 women here, and there's so many more women out there that they don't think they are, but they are. Trust me, you are a resilient. And my story is not very different from Sarah's or from Jaleh, but we are having a thriving ending. We are having a thriving conclusion about what we want to do with our lives. So I also did tell my story on the TEDx stage about how my family escaped Vietnam out of the oppressive regime of communists, and how we survive in the refugee camps, and also how we assimilating into the mainstream America with a lot of suffer and struggle and things that we've gone through that you normally don't see in us. When you meet all 3 of us, you probably don't know that, you know, what we've been through. And same to you. I'm sure that a lot of time people walk out in the street and look like they're very together, but they are fighting with a lot of things that we have no clues about. So my friend Jaleh have been through a process of assimilating, coming to America as almost an adult, right? So she has to go through and learn things quickly, because when you're changing from one platform to the next, and one culture to the next, one language to the next, everything is chaotic and panic. But if you don't really settle yourself and find a way to conquer it, it will conquer you. So today we want to hear about the story how Jaleh conquered her fear, her chaotic, her panic, her change, her resiliency, and her endurance, and what exactly happened when she was in college. And that's what I like to know. I mean, coming here to America is brand new, and she's at the age of going to college. How did she transform? I thought I was brilliant, you know, going through high school and then going to college, but she just going right straight to college without speaking English. So Jaleh, can you enlighten us with your story and tell us a little bit about your backdrop of the story and how you overcome? I just love one part that she just, I'm going to let her tell you. I don't want to spoil the story.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Lee. Before we start, I need to add one thing, because I went through the living in a new country different times. It wasn't just one time from one to another. I had to go through challenges of new country in Brazil, and that was the most challenging time of my life.
Okay, so where were you before? Let's refresh everything. Like, you know, sometimes people didn't hear from your story last time.
Yeah.
So tell us from the beginning, where are your original country?
I am originally from Iran. I was born in Iran.
Okay.
I graduated from high school in Iran. When I came to the age that I was ready to start my college studies, enter to university, the universities were closed. Not only for me, but all my peers who were part of the Baha'i community. So we had to find ways. At that time was very difficult. We didn't know what to do really. What would be my future? So there was a way to leave the country, and that was the only option actually. Even it wasn't easy, but we chose that path, and 2 years later, I arrived in Brazil.
Did you like escape out of the country, or is that a legal way that you can go to Brazil? So you were in the refugee status also?
Yes.
Okay.
So I arrived in Brazil in 1987 without knowing a language, without knowing a word Portuguese. Because if you come in America, I see so many immigrants are coming here. English is more familiar. And US has a structure that is ready to accept immigrants, accommodate immigrants in one way or another. But Brazil didn't have that structure, and Portuguese is totally unknown language for someone going from Middle East to Brazil.
Yeah.
So there were many challenges, and I didn't have family. So the only support I had was from Baha'i community that I am part of. I didn't have my family, only my sister, and I saw really Baha'i community became my second family at the time. But challenges you yourself to have to face. There are things that only you need to do. And if you don't have family, even more challenging. So 1987, I arrived in Brazil without knowing Portuguese, inflation up to the roof. It looked to me, oh my God, can I survive in this country?
Yeah.
I need to learn language, I need to work, I need to make living. Yet I want to build my future. I want to get my higher education. So I had this question off and on. Can I do? What should I do?
How
What
old were you at the
should I
time?
do? Oh, how old are you? 25.
Okay.
25.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
can
I
I
mean,
do? Can I not? What should I do? So it's so many questions come to you. So what?
right.
But then second thought come to you. You have this doubt, you have this anxiety and question and doubts and uncertainty. That's the best word.
Yeah.
In an uncertain situation,
Mm-hmm.
those are all in your mind, but then second thoughts come to you. You left your country for a reason. Don't forget your goal.
Yeah.
Don't forget, keep in mind.
Which is very
So,
easily to do because you have to make a living. You have to support yourself. So, I mean, your goal of a further
yes.
education, sometimes people put it in the secondary and then time just passed by and you couldn't get back. But
And
you did not. You did not
yeah,
leave
but it
that.
looked really impossible in the
Mhm.
beginning. And today, when I review, oh my God, how was it possible? You know what is the answer? Do whatever you can do at the time,
Yeah.
step by step.
Right.
You can, when you are in a situation like that, you don't know language.
Yeah.
You have to make living. It looks like a mountain and in front of you, but take your time. Go back, take a deep breath, step by step. If you take the very first step, that's a good start.
Right. Just sign up for some classes, right?
Just first. So what was my first step? I'm there. I have to make living. Kudos to my brother-in-law. He found a job for me. He with the English he knew, he could find an ad in the paper
Wow.
that bridal store
Right.
that are doing alteration for gown,
Yeah.
bridal gown,
Right.
need people who do alteration. And I was familiar. In my home country, my mom was very good at it. I learned it. That was a good job opportunity for me.
Yeah.
So
anything is possible at that time, right? And
but
you
that
read
was a good
Arabic?
option for me because I didn't know language. And when
Right.
you're working as in alteration, you don't need much language. So that was the best opportunity. He found that job, and the name of the city, the address is Novo Hamburgo. I'm living in San Leopoldo. The distance between San Leopoldo and Novo Hamburgo is like Palm Harbor to Dunedin.
Okay.
I didn't have car at the time. I didn't have map. The only thing I knew how to take a bus from my city to take off to that city in the downtown. I had address, but I didn't know how to get there. I just took bus and I took off in the downtown of the city. So I take off and I am trying to find a place where could help me in the finding address.
Such a determination. I mean, if there's a will, there's a way, right?
Long story short, I walked 1 hour literally until I found the address. I found the store. I am there, and when I go back, when I remember that day, I say, oh my God, I had guts. Without knowing language, you are going to the store
Yeah.
to talk to the president of the business for an interview with a little Portuguese I knew. Little. So it was successful. I did interview, and somehow I could tell him, I could express myself, tell him that I know alteration and I can work.
I
That was
think,
the beginning.
yeah,
That's
I
how I
think,
could bring money to my life.
Nice.
And 1 year later,
uh-huh.
with the saving I had, I could enroll in a school to prepare myself for a college.
I think the lesson here, Jaleh, is don't let anything stop you, even though you don't know the language, you don't have direction. But if you want it enough, like, I think we all did. I mean, you can speak body language, you can do gesture, you can do so many things when you come to a first new country. But if you want it bad enough, you will find a way to convince the other person to give you the job, the interview, the whatever you want. And I think, many of us, sometimes you get to the wall and you just have to fight back. You've got to, walk back. And I think that is sometimes that we thrive in the worst desperate situation because we have to do it. Whatever you do, you have to do
And
it.
you know what I think today? I think those challenges have been blessing in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Why I am saying that?
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives you courage. That's how you develop courage.
Mm-hmm.
You have to face, you have to do. So
Yeah.
go for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. I think
Right.
we need to develop our qualities. They are hidden. And
And
these challenges gives us opportunity to reveal
right.
them.
And if you can't find a job that use the language, you have any skill, take it out and use it on that skill. I mean, I came to this country also starting with sewing because, I think most of the ladies in a small country, we pretty much adapted to how to sew, how to cook, how to do domestic things. And, at that time, that's the best way to earn money. Then use whatever you have to make that for temporarily. And then you go to school. Now, you spoke Arabic at the time when you come to Brazil?
Farsi. My first language is Farsi, Persian.
Okay,
So I
okay.
knew my mother tongue, Persian,
Okay.
and I knew some English because
Okay.
we study English in high school.
Right.
So I was familiar. If the
Okay.
language was English, would be easier, but it was Portuguese.
Yeah.
So
But it helps a little bit to know the English. So at least the Portuguese, I mean, it's not easy, but at least you can make some sense about how to. It's not like going from Arabic to the Latin's alphabet. That's what I mean. For some
it
people who go
helped
from
because
Chinese
the alphabet are
Arabic
the
to.
same. Yeah, because alphabet of Portuguese and English are the
Mm-hmm,
same. So knowing
mm-hmm.
English helped a little.
Yeah, it
And I
does.
am telling you, my brother-in-law could find a job for me. With the English he knew, he could understand the
Yeah.
ad. He could find the job.
So you went not just to find a job, but you also went to school, college there.
Yes. I
That
started
is
with
that's
job.
mind blowing right there. It's like
No, I started with job because that's what you need first. You need to make living. You need to have daily survival. That's
right.
the first thing you need. And that 1 year working give me an opportunity to get familiar with language. You go to work every day, and
Yeah.
little by little, you get better in the language. So 1 year later, I was able to start school, but still my Portuguese wasn't good enough.
Of course.
I
You can't do
remember,
it in 1 year.
so I remember I was at a school, and that going to that school was preparing myself for university. So I am in the very first class I had. I remember it was chemistry. I am there, I am watching the board, and the teacher is writing formula and make a design. When he put the formula, I could assimilate, I could remember what I
Yeah.
studied in high school. And that's how I could improve my Portuguese during that
Hmm.
class, during those classes. When I
And
left that class, the first class I left, oh my God, I had feeling that I am in heaven. I could see light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah.
That
And I
was
think
one
that
of the
why people say that, so many foreigner coming in as a math major and a chemistry major, as a physics major. Hello, because we don't have to write or read in literature in English. And that's the reason I think, it's like a lot of people is like, oh, all Asians or, like, oh, the science major. I think that's a big part because we didn't have to analyze every single sentence. We just need to understand formula, and we just understand how to solve the problem. So that's actually a lot easier.
Yeah, the
that
same with
helps.
me. Yeah, I major in math, and
Hmm.
some people cringe when I say I'm
A math
graduating
major.
math major. It for me it's easy
Hmm.
because I don't have to deal with the language.
I mean, math is the same no matter where you go. I mean, math,
Yeah,
number, language is,
yeah.
music and math, they are the same everywhere.
Actually, what helped me, because when I start to start university, you need to make have an exam. In Brazil, it's
Hmm.
like that. We had to have an exam, and what helped me in exam was math,
Hmm.
because math
Hmm.
didn't require much language, so I could
Yeah.
pass that. The math raised my
Your
GPA.
score. Awesome.
Yeah.
raised
So
my
did you
mark.
graduated from Brazil?
Yes, so that's how 1990 I
Mm-hmm.
started university, and 4 years later, 5 years later, I graduated in computer science.
Uh-huh. And then you work there?
I worked there, I built my career there. The most important part of my life happened in Brazil, because your 20s, your 30s is when you build your future, you build
Right.
your career. So all happened in Brazil. After I graduated from university, I had an opportunity to work in an international school in Canada. So from 1996 to 1998, I was in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back to Brazil. I changed my city. I moved to Sao Paulo, which was much better opportunities, job opportunity was
Uh-huh.
better. I
Uh-huh.
could
By that time, you're
improve.
probably speaking fluent
Better,
in
of
Portuguese.
course. By then my Portuguese was better, uh, and I could I could
Right.
find the job easier because I was fluent. Not fluent. You are never. I am not fluent in English. I'm not. I would. You
Well,
are
I
never
think you
fluent like
are. I think you are
native.
pretty, yeah,
You are not like native. So I'm
right.
not. I don't
We'll
speak
never
native.
be.
But I was able to manage my life very well. And again, it gave me enough courage to
Yeah,
change my city to go to Sao Paulo is like New York. So
right.
I moved to a new city, and that was the best decision because I could build my financial life.
So were you speaking English the capacity that you are now, or is a lot less when you were in Brazil? Will you start speaking some English already too?
No, no, my
Not at all?
English. No, my English. You know what you learn in high school? Not much. You learn grammar, but not
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, about 1996, when I went to Canada, that was the time that I could
You start using English.
practice English and improve my English. So 2004, when I moved to US, I didn't have any difficulty language
Okay.
wise and job because
It's
I
like,
came
oh, just
job
another
opportunity.
hurdle.
No, moving to US wasn't challenging at all. It was
Okay.
like moving from one city to another city, even
Mm-hmm.
easier
Mm,
because
right.
I came here having job. I came here with job opportunity. I worked since then, day one. I
Yeah.
didn't have challenges with language, so coming here was piece of cake.
Okay. Yeah. Well, because you have done the very, very difficult part.
In
So if you can
Brazil.
do that, you can
Yeah.
do it again. And everything gonna be much easier once you've already figured out how you did it back then. And like you said, just do it. Just take one small step and just do it. And then the take next step and steps and do it.
Yeah, the key is step by step.
Hmm.
That's what I tell to teenagers. Don't get desperate if something looks big. Just take the bit,
Right.
step
So
by step.
now you are also, so now you're still working with the same company that hire you when you come to US.
Yeah, it has been the same company.
Right. And then you are doing some charity work as well, right?
That community service, empowering youth is my passion.
Right.
So I have been, even when in Brazil, when I was in university, I stopped one semester, six
Hmm.
months, and I wanted to dedicate my time for this project. That was the time that I dedicated the most to projects related to empowering youth and women in
Mm.
a area in Brazil, in an area called Salvador, Bahia
Right.
Salvador.
Right.
So when did your parents join you?
My parents were living in Iran during this time. My parents moved to US 2006. So I
Mm.
was far from my parents for 22 years.
22 years. Oh,
22 years. You know, first time I saw my mom, it was 1998. For first time, I hadn't
Wow.
seen her at all for
For 20
13
years.
years.
30 years. Oh, wow.
13, 13.
Oh,
The first
13
time,
years. Okay.
first time I saw her that I hadn't seen at all, it was 13
Wow.
years. I
13.
saw my dad for very first time after 15 years, 1 5. After that, so they came to visit here. I visited one time them. But after 22 years, we had opportunity to be in the same city.
That's beautiful. Well, it's always a great thing to hear about happy ending, right? I mean, you have gone through so many trials and tribulations, and you were able to be united and reunited with your parents. And now everything is should be a piece of cake because nothing should be as horrible as running away from your country to a different country and learn all of that and then do it again and then again.
I am telling you, when I arrived in Brazil, it is 33 years ago. I never had such challenges in my life as
Hmm.
much as I had back then.
Hmm.
So, as you said, everything after that turned
Yeah.
out to be piece of cake.
I am sure that when we look back, we discover a lot of things that we do have superpower that we didn't think that we have. And I'm sure Sarah probably looked back and was like, oh my God, how did I walk through that jungle and get home and find my parents? For me, I'm just like dumbfounded. I was like, to cross that by yourself and with a couple people and don't know what directions and that's to find your way home, that is tremendous amount of courage for me. I think if she can do that, everything else is easy.
Piece of
And for
cake.
me, I think so too. For me, I had no idea that I was really going through a really tough period when we left Vietnam and when we were in the refugee camp and we first come here. But it's just like it's keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, and you just keep dodging and keep dodging. Every time it comes, you just go and go, you just dodge it. And now you look back, you're like, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I didn't give up. I'm glad I didn't break because we need that resiliency so we can move on. And
Yeah.
everything else should be easy because we have done the worst possible that we could do at that time. That's why I know it was like COVID is really, really bad because when people are being hit with it, people in the family, people, their loved one die. It's really hard. Nothing can change it. But I think for many of us, if we can find our mindset and say that we can actually rebuild this again. If you lost job, if you job change, if everything can be rebuilt, because we have been through, this is our worst. We have been through the COVID of our time, right? But now it's a lot of time, a lot of people in the world experience this very, very difficult time. And I think what our message, all three of us, what our message is, you just take one day at a time and do whatever you need to do to survive, to go through. And then when maybe 5 years, 10 years from now, you look back, you say that I have been through that. I can face anything now. And I think that your story is so courageous. I don't know. It's almost like, putting somebody into a Chinese school and learning English, it's just like, it's very different. But if you take the comparison, even the Cambodian words are very different from Latin words. So I thank God for Latin's alphabet, that we can actually learn from it a little bit and make things go faster.
Yeah,
But
your language, the Vietnamese language, at least you use the Latin alphabet.
exactly. But I
Cambodian,
learned a lot of Chinese. So, I mean, we write character. So from Chinese to Vietnamese to English and French. So that's what I'm saying, that the Latin roots at least help us a little bit. It go from one word to the next. But from the transferring from Cambodian to English, or Chinese to English, or Arabic, or whatever language that not alphabet Latin roots, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. Hey, ladies, but we did it. We are thrivers. We are definitely thrivers, and not just us. I think that many people out there are thrivers. They just have not discovering yet. So, I mean, by sharing our story, we actually want to tell you that you can do and conquer anything, like Jaleh did, like Sara did, like I did. So thank you again, Jaleh, for sharing your story. That's such a courageous resilience that we all, I think that, we all can learn from that.
yeah.
But
So
we're going over time. So,
Okay.
yeah, I am so glad that you can come back and share with us some of those critical piece of the story that we were not able to talk about last time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, at the end of the year, this is December, and we talk a lot about, things that we're wrapping up the years, and we hope that this story will help you also wrap up your years and be more courageous next year. Right, Jaleh? Be more
Yeah.
courageous.
Yeah.
more courageous.
Just
Yeah,
do it. Just do it.
I look forward to read your book, Charlie.
There you go. There
I'm
you
looking
go.
forward to it too. I hope I can start it soon.
It's not going to be easy, but like I said, you tackle all the tough stuff in your life. This is just another hoop that you need to jump. And I didn't think I would be able to write my book either, but hey, if you put your mind in it, it will be done. And I'm confident that I will read your book soon. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging around, and